Everything looked normal that morning. It wasn't. Maeve Holloway was 67 years old and had been a high school librarian for 31 years before she retired. And the one thing she knew about herself was that she did not fuss. She did not fuss about doctors. She did not fuss about food. She did not fuss about the cat her daughter had given her for Christmas. A heavy gray tabby named Pemberton, who had decided, 3 weeks before any of this began, that the only acceptable place to sleep was the small of Maeve's back. This was the joke. The family group chat had 31 screenshots in it. The cat would jump on the bed at 9. The cat would find a particular spot just above Maeve's tailbone. The cat would settle there. The cat would not be moved. Maeve would roll over. The cat would resettle. Maeve would shift to her side. The cat would resettle. Her daughter Imogen sent a meme on day 11. Her sister, who lived 2 streets over, sent a recipe and added, "At least he's a back warmer." Maeve laughed. She had a faint ache. She thought it was the mattress. On day 16, the cat began to do something new. He began to sleep on the small of her back during the day. Maeve worked at her dining table in the afternoons. She edited textbook drafts for a small educational press as retirement work, and Pemberton, who had previously spent every daylight hour in the window seat, would now jump down at 1 o'clock and trot across the living room and sit on the corner of her chair until she shifted forward, then climb into the small of her back and not move. She started writing standing up. She did not tell her daughter. She did not want to be the kind of mother whose daughter drove 90 minutes to laugh at her about a cat. On day 18, the ache became a low constant pressure on the right side, just under the ribs. Maeve looked it up. She decided it was muscular. She had been gardening. She had been on her feet too much. She drank more water and decided to wait a week. On day 19, she stood up from the chair and the room went sideways for a half-second, and she sat back down and her face was wet. The pain was different. Pemberton was on the floor in front of her chair already, watching her. He had jumped down before she had stood up. She drove to the urgent care because she did not want to call an ambulance, and she did not want to call her daughter. The urgent care sent her to the ER. The ER ordered the CT. The radiologist used the phrase obstructing stone and the phrase hydronephrosis. The kidney was beginning to back up. The infection, which she had not known she had, was beginning to climb. The urologist who came down to talk to her said something Maeve would later repeat to her daughter, word for word, twice, because she could not quite believe it the first time. He said, "How long have you had pain in the right lower back?" She said, "That's exactly how long an obstruction like this takes to start showing." He said, "Who pointed it out to you?" She said, "My cat." He looked up from the chart. He did not laugh. He did not smile. He said, "That's the 3rd time this year a patient has told me that." He said, "An inflamed kidney radiates approximately 1 degree warmer than surrounding tissue." He said, "It is not a recognized clinical sign. It is also not nothing." He said, "If you had waited another week." He did not finish. The stone was removed the following Tuesday. The infection was treated. Maeve was home by Friday. Pemberton met her at the door and would not leave her side for 48 hours, including following her into the bathroom, where he sat on the bath mat with his eyes closed and his nose pointed at her lower back, even when she was fully upright. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Imogen flew in. She did not laugh about the cat. She sat at the foot of her mother's bed and watched Pemberton settle in his old spot on the small of Maeve's back. And she put her hand on her mother's foot and said, "How did he know?" Maeve said, "He didn't know. He felt." Imogen did not say anything for a while. Has your cat or dog ever picked a specific spot on your body and stayed there and made you wonder later if they were trying to tell you something? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Maeve later went back through the family group chat. The first photo of Pemberton in his chosen spot was dated 3 weeks and 1 day before her diagnosis. He had moved to the spot the day she now believed. Looking at the timeline of her blood work, the infection had begun. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. She kept gardening. She drank more water. She made her daughter promise to call once a week. Pemberton kept his job. The dining table chair was replaced with one that reclined. He moved with the chair, the way he had moved with the bed, the way a cat moves with the thing it has decided is its own.